Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Kent Adams here. I hope you're having a good day. It's summer. The weather's telling us it's summer, and that's okay with me. All right? If nothing else, maybe we can get some of that heat to get that COVID stuff out of the air and so forth. I'm welcoming back an associate from the days back at Fox 28. And how are you doing, Cassandra?
I am doing very well.
Good. I was telling you before we started, I remember my very first day there. You were our assistant, which means if we wanted something to get done and done right, you took care of it.
That's right.
Often jumping ahead and getting things done before we even knew we needed it.
Mark of a good assistant.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember on one of the first things I typed out on the computer, and I had Fox 28, so I got that right, but I had capital F and then small O and X, and you came over and said, Kent, it's Fox, all three letters are capitalized. And I remember that to this day. It's funny how little things like that, I don't think I ever goofed again, did I?
I can't remember.
Oh.
You have a better memory.
Okay, I didn't,
Okay,
because I would remember, because I didn't want to have to face you if I had. We're going to talk about the media and the politics of media and all of that today on the Pulse of Spokane. We'll be right back.
Well, this is Bloomsday in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate, but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Welcome to Apex Plaza, Spokane's one-stop cannabis destination. Apex Cannabis features thousands of economy, value, and luxury cannabis products. Cannagear features hemp-based CBD products, glass, goods, and gear. Stop by 1325 North Division to experience the Apex difference.
This product has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risk associated with the consumption of this product. For use only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Well, welcome back. And Cassandra Benefield, did I say that correct?
Yes,
Now, I knew you by a different name way back then, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
What was your last name then?
Jones,
okay. All right, so something happened between when I remember working with you, and it's called marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a baby.
And a baby.
Yes.
Now, you have, Ada, who is how old?
She is 8. She just turned 8.
Okay. Do you spoil her?
I'm sure. She's the only child.
Oh, okay. Well, good. And she
It's by default.
By default,
Yes.
Does she take advantage of it?
Yes, probably. She's a smart cookie.
Yes, probably. You know she does, okay? All right. Well, say hi. Bring her in sometime, will you?
I will.
I'll just see pictures. Plenty of pictures. So you guys take a lot of pictures.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You are, I'm going to get this right. You are a media analyst.
That's correct.
Okay, for Ad Fontes Media.
Correct.
Okay. And if you don't know, if our audience doesn't know what I'm talking about, you see it on Facebook and other places, this chart of where the various networks, everything from the NBCs of the world to all the others. There it is. It's on the screen.
And it's largely, at this point, it's transitioned over the years, of course, because we're on version 6.0 right now.
Okay.
So they're including more television media, and it's a different, it's a little bit longer. It's easier to read a resource and be able to say, what its rating could be.
Right.
So.
Okay, so it works from left to right.
Yes.
On the left would be those more liberal related stories and stations.
So and that would be, there's a most extreme left,
okay,
a hyper partisan left, and a skews left, neutral, and then goes skews right, hyper partisan right, and then most extreme right. So there is even gradients in bias, if you will, left-right bias, and that bias is defined by current politics.
Okay.
So say when Obama was in office, or even when President Bush, before Obama, was in the office, the right platform or the left platform was a little bit different. So it's present day.
Interesting.
It's present day bias, and that's just the time is now, which we live, and so we evaluate the bias that way. But it also has so that's left right. It has an up down bias, which is what you will not see on other media outlets that are trying to figure out bias in media. They typically just stay with left right.
Right.
Whereas this chart goes a little bit further, and it talks about, it really gives credit to good journalism.
Okay.
And so it goes from original fact reporting to maybe just fact reporting, which is kind of like, well, this is what the New York Times or this is what the Wall Street Journal said.
And you hear a lot of that these days. They're quoting somebody else.
And you really hear that a lot probably in television more.
Yeah.
Well, it's because different organizations have different, like, for example, the AP has something like, I've heard, 2,000 reporters.
Okay.
So when you've got a resource-rich reporting structure, you're going to have a lot of original reporting.
Right.
So anyway, it starts off with the highest original fact reporting, then fact reporting, and then you've got your complex analysis, which is the long form journalism, which really helps you put in perspective what it is that, so what's the news of the week, let's say, and what does a analyst, well-credentialed analyst from the right and the left say about this?
Right.
What does this mean for the future? And so you've even got a gradient of balance there. So the complex analysis could be neutral. It shows both sides really equitably. And then it kind of branches out to your left-right. But it's still a high value. Then it goes into...
Who would that be? Can you think of...
Well, on this chart, what you can see is, so for complex analysis, you've got The Hill,
okay,
Economist, The Economist, Reason. So on the right, you would have Real Clear Politics.
right.
So they're a little bit lower as far as
I noticed that. Yeah.
reliability in Epic Times. However, they're high-ish where they're outside of what you would find, what you would call opinion. It's not based on fact, it's just a moral judgment, it's based on opinion. So your complex analysis is kind of in this middle portion here. New York Post, CNN TV would be, not CNN.com, would be in the complex analysis. And Newsmax, Town Hall. The Blaze is a little bit higher than, say, Fox News website, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
As far as the general
How
feeling.
about Fox News itself?
The Fox News television network falls into what we would label selective or incomplete story, unfair persuasion.
Okay.
And so,
Would
and that's
CNN
based on
also be there on the
so
other side of
CNN
things?
TV is a little bit higher, according to, and that's a good, because that's controversial. Probably,
Right.
Now I've been a media analyst with this company for maybe a month. I've been training, and now I'm in my week 2 of analyzing news stories. But I know so much about this chart because I share this with reckless abandon probably on my Facebook page because I really
Does your
want to.
husband tell you to shut up at night because you're repeating things
No.
from the, okay.
No, but he likes this, and
Yeah.
he's most of us have 2 or 3, maybe 5 resources that we go to
Yeah.
regularly
No,
anyway.
you're right.
But what would be comparable to Fox News, at least their website would be MSNBC TV, and according to the ratings, how it's done here. And then so you've got selective or incomplete story, unfair persuasion, and then the lowest of the low, which is the kind of a red section you'll see, is propaganda and misleading information. And that includes, really, there's 3 so far that have been, that are really strongly biased in the right, and that's News Punch, Gateway Pundit, and InfoWars. And the one on the left that we've done so far, so there's probably other sources, too. These are just the ones that are more popular and that we're trying to expand, because we're trying to expand our sources. So anyway, Wonkette would be an example of something that's kind of propaganda-y. So basically the point is what Vanessa Otero, who is the person who did this basically on her own.
Oh, wow.
By herself, because she was just, I don't know how many years ago she created this, and it was just a pastime. She just got rich. She just wanted to do this. She's a patent attorney that was interested in the news, and so she did this, but then from there it just took off.
Yeah.
And right now I'm a part of a team of 36 analysts.
Wow.
So basically what they want is they want a variety of analysts. They want somebody that's left-leaning, right-leaning, and centered. And each article is read by 3 people who share that kind of dynamic.
Okay.
So you're getting, and then from that rating, you get the weighted, and then you rate more than one article, and all that weights together. So what you're seeing here is the process of at least 3 people analyzing the article with 3 different political biases, and it's a weighted average of several articles.
Wow.
And so the key is to want more and more articles to be able to be rated.
Yeah.
It's a rubric.
So how does it work? Does the organization send you things to read?
Yes.
And then you have what, 24 hours or
So
a day or 2 to?
So Vanessa's goal for this cycle of media analysts, so she's had cycles of media analysts over a course of time, and I think this was a big. She put this out on her email saying, we're looking for media analysts. 150 people with varying masters and graduate degrees with various propensity, in this area, whether it's journalism, education, or, research or data analysis applied. And 36 of us were chosen.
Wow.
And I feel very, very thankful that I was one. And so what that is then she gives, the organization, the team now, she's now a team, they send their goal is to send 36 articles a week.
Okay.
So we rate 36 articles a week, and they're typically, obviously, they're that day's news.
Yes.
And what they do is they try to send a broad picture of like a current event from different media sources.
Okay.
And so then we're like maybe reading 6 articles from different media sources on the same topic.
Okay.
And that really does help you kind of needle down in a little bit more to say, well, this wasn't reported in this one.
Yeah.
And this piece of news, which would have really discredited that argument, really wasn't put in this. So that's where you can kind of see balance. And then also just adjectives.
Yes.
Different resources, different news sources, or different opinion sources use adjectives.
Are you spending more time, or as part of this process, spending more time on reports or columns?
Both. And that
Okay.
is an excellent question,
Yeah.
because I believe, if I can say something here on that topic, what people are largely reading are not news.
Yes.
They're reading opinion. And so when they claim that the New York Times leans left, okay, it does, according to our chart, it does lean left, but
Yes.
not as left as you might think. Because if you say Fox News, the websites, for example, they'll report on the left-leaning bias of the New York Times. Well, compared to Fox News, they are really left.
Yes.
But when you take a gold standard, which I would say the gold standard would be AP and Reuters,
Okay.
it's boring news.
Right, right.
It's boring.
It's the facts, ma'am.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's snooze fest news, and so that's probably your gold standard, and everything kind of relates based on that. And so yes, so when you are reading a news story, you need to look at the top. Is it opinion?
Yes.
Is it analysis?
Yes.
And you need to be able to judge that, because everybody, it's a wonderful business model
Yeah.
to have opinion pieces. Typically you don't really get paid for opinion pieces.
Right.
Or you don't get paid as much. And so there are columnists that get paid with regularity on the bigger news sites, but like say your more entertainment news sites, let's say,
Yeah.
are going to be pretty much analysis and opinion.
Right.
And so that's what this chart does too. It checks that news source by where it lands on the up and down axis, whether it's news, original reporting, analysis, which is based on the original reporting, or just plain opinion. You
Right.
can't really prove it either way.
Yeah.
And that's like a 3.
I know our local paper gets often mentioned by friends, more conservative friends and so forth, as being liberal. And I think it's because of Sean Vestal and some other columnists. Yes, in fact, that's been my complaint to them, is that they have
To your friends or?
well, to the paper.
Paper, okay.
Yeah, they've got a guy who's doing 2 or 3 or 4 columns a week, but no one doing as many on a more conservative side of things. And yes, they have like Sulani Madsen, who does an article, a column once a week.
Interesting.
But what about the fairness? Okay, you've got a full-time guy here versus someone who's just writing once a week.
That's totally a fair point of view.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, and so I don't think the paper is as left in terms of news coverage as some might see, but I will criticize them for being, okay, if you're going to
Sure.
do columnists
Sure.
in opinion, then
Balance it.
Yeah.
Well, Kent, let me talk to you about that. So I also work with Spokane Faith and Values,
Yes.
which is SpokaneFaves.com, and they typically lean progressive.
Yeah.
You know, it is a progressive leaning series, but the articles themselves, the topics that they're chosen may be also progressive, but when they're chosen and the topics are written upon,
Yes.
they are
Fair.
fair. Now, the fact is, Spokane Faves needs more conservative voices. I am typically what I would consider a more conservative voice, but not necessarily, I'd say more centered than anything. But as a Christian, that I know that I represent that, and I would love to have more voices on there. So whether it's on purpose or whether it's just not been offered, we don't know the nuance of the situation.
No, we
like,
don't.
because I know on SpokaneFaves.com, the editor has a call out. We really do need more conservative voices.
Right.
So to at least and that's a religion news and commentary website. So it's the commentaries that are really, you're right. It's the
Right.
commentaries or the columns that do lean the paper one way or the other
Yeah.
more.
Are you having fun with this?
With this media bias chart?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm a journalism major, and
I mean, only 36 people in the country?
out of 150 that were
Got
chosen
invited
to do this. Yeah.
Do you feel privileged or what?
Yes, I do.
You know?
At least at the very least, I wanted to learn this system, and also I also see it as a good work.
Yeah.
Because if anybody looks at Facebook for any length of time, you can see the fact is we have a glut of information.
Yes.
And that really...
And once in a while, some of it is truthful. I mean, you mentioned Facebook, right? I mean, welcome to today, right?
Right. Yeah, every once in a while it's truthful.
In a while, yeah.
And so it's important for my friends and for me to share with my friends and loved ones that there are better resources out there. And what you think is biased isn't necessarily biased, and here's why. And to be able to, I would love to offer people, let's talk about article by article. What do you see that's biased in this? What do I see that's not biased in this? And we can just kind of, so it's another conversation.
How much of it is, though, going in, if I know it's from CNN, I already know what I'm going to hear.
Is left-leaning?
Yes.
Well,
okay. I mean, I just know it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be, even their
It's
newscasts
left.
are opinion. And we all know that.
Right.
Rarely do they do
Right.
really news. In fact, I would put them further down and to the left.
Oh, you should hear.
But-
She's got like blog posts about CNN
I-
on her.
But I still think this is valid because because of what I've learned today from you in terms of how things are looked at and so forth. But everyone that looks at this is going to have a but.
Well, we all have bias.
Yes, we do.
We all have bias, and so
Absolutely.
we need checks and balances.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the weighting and the averaging and stuff that goes
Right.
into this, but what I do know is the check and balance that they try to provide is do more than one article, do the same story across the spectrum of stories, or news sources, and then have different politically leaning people.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always going to be. So basically, when you see something in this chart,
Right.
it's not that's where it goes specifically. Maybe
It's-
we take a step back and you say that is the general area in
Yes.
which this lands,
Yes.
and there's movement
And sometimes
there.
it can be based on the days and the stories and everything else.
And what she's done, what the company has done, I give her a lot of credit because Vanessa Otero started this. But now you can actually, on the website, there's an interactive chart where you can click specific news sources, and you can see how many articles were analyzed and where each one landed. And so, like, say if you're curious about New York Times.
Yes.
I believe, at least, and I'd not asked her this, but I believe New York Times is probably the one that is the most analyzed, because when you go to their
It's the big one.
chart, they have a ton of articles that have been, and commentaries that have been analyzed, and complex analysis pieces. So you get to see it all. And so each one of those dots is where 3 people have rated an article.
Okay.
And then each dot is how many articles were read. And so then that's where they land, in that vicinity.
I've got to go do some searching, because the only thing I've ever seen is this on Facebook or one of the social media sites. But there's a website that we can dig further, which I think interests me. So people, what is the name of the website?
Sure. It's adfontesmedia.com.
Okay.
And Ad Fontes, it seems like why on earth would that even be the title? But even if you look at the little logo, it's a fountain. So it means to the source. So
okay.
we're trying to get to the source of the issue. Who in the media landscape gets to the source better than others?
Right.
Because we have to be able to make decisions
Based on credible information.
doesn't mean it's perfect, but there is information that's more credible.
Yeah.
And there are pieces of information and news sources out there that are less credible. Are there possibilities that, something is going on? It's possible. But if any news organization is worth its salt, they're going to research this.
Yeah.
And real research, real study takes time. And I think of the Pentagon Papers.
Yes.
That was That was something that was exposed, but it wasn't an instant thing.
No.
It was a whisper, and then there was actual work being done to find that, and then they had to make a decision, do we do this? So it's not, news organizations, if they're worth any of their salt, they're going to want to expose corruption.
Right.
But that's my argument, because I'm a journalism major and I have an inherent bias.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And I love that you say that, because many won't. I'm always objective, Kent, and all that, and then I can pull out their article from the local paper or something else. And how'd you come to that conclusion? Why is there a conclusion in there without the facts? Yeah, and yeah, give me. And people say, well, way back in the old days, 100 years ago, it was just the facts. No, it wasn't always just the facts.
Look up yellow journalism.
We'd love to believe that, but this has gone on since the first printing press. And
let's call it the human heart, Kent.
Okay, good. Ad, which is AD, not ADD. I've seen people talk about, well, can you help me with some ads, ADD? No, that's
right.
That's a whole other thing.
Ad, AD, Fontes, FONTES, media.com.
All right.
Or you can just plug in media bias chart
And it'll come
in
up.
the Google. They are the first ones to come up.
Okay.
So they've been in this for a while now.
I love this. This is fascinating.
It is. It's wonderful.
And of course, I'll still argue with, what's her name?
Vanessa Otero.
Vanessa, I'll still argue with on some of the placement, but that's okay. I'm probably not the only one.
Yes.
Yeah. Cassie, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Kent.
And come back and let's talk about, maybe we talk about this as we get close to the election.
Whatever you'd like,
Because I think
Kent.
that would be really interesting.
I think it'd be interesting to
With
diagram.
debates, if they happen, and all of that. Okay.
Sure.
Will you come back?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
You're
and
so
thanks
welcome.
for watching the Pulse of Spokane, everybody. Have a good day.